This is Jeff Wolf, Director of Reimbursement at Bestler, and today we're going to talk about Easy Workpapers, and we're talking about the review notes, color coordinating, and management reports. So first of all, let's talk about review notes. Every workspace that you have in Easy Workpapers, whether it's a worksheet A or whether it's an A6, has the ability to have review notes. So as a staff member is working on a worksheet within Easy Workpapers, they can come and click on up here, Review Notes. And that allows you to type in and manage the review notes going forward. So you'll notice that on 3/29 of 19, I typed in, where should I put Department X? Where should it be grouped? And then on 4/15, I noted that it should be grouped in this place, and then on 4/18 that it was complete. One of the nice things about Easy Workpapers is you don't have to delete those review notes. They will continue to stay with this particular workpaper. They are fiscal year dependent, so they clear out next year, but this year they'll stay with it. And the reason that you want to keep it that way is up in the management reports, you have review notes. And that review notes report will allow you to see all of the notes for all of the work papers, and it'll show you all the iterations with the date and timestamp so that you can see all the activity that went into clearing the notes, whatever. It's good for a couple of reasons. One of them is you notice this current year listing pull-down menu. If I click on that, it shows me all the review notes for this year. So not just worksheet A, but A6, worksheet C, A8, and you can see the review notes that were typed in on the various dates. But since we're on worksheet A, sometimes you want to see prior year's review notes. So this red set of lists gives you prior year review notes, and you can click on worksheet A there, and you can see here is the review notes from prior year. So very, very easy to communicate back and forth between the staff members and the managers as they're doing reviews. So one of the things that helps enhance that is the color coding. So you notice that the different work papers I have here in Easy Workpapers are different colors depending on the status and where they sit. So up here under management, every organization can design what these colors mean. Most of our clients stick with some of the same coloring schemes because they tend to make sense. Yellow, for instance, means that it needs data or some sort of a static input, like an input column or something. Red means that this work paper needs to be adjusted. Either we change the way we did business or we need a building block to change or something like that. Also, they use a lot of this. The purple is ready for review by the manager. So the manager doesn't have to actually wait until everything's done to start the review. They can go and identify the work papers that are ready for review. And once they've reviewed it, they can say it's reviewed, ready for upload to the cost board, or it's been reviewed and it needs corrective actions. You'll also notice that we have some percentage complete numbers here. They are a little arbitrary, but they do represent, when you have looked at the work paper and you know you need some data or some static inputs, it's 25% complete, roughly. When it's ready for review, it's about 90% complete. If it needs corrective action, well, now it's back down to 80%. If it's ready to go up to the cost board, you're 97%, you're almost done. And then, of course, when it's uploaded to the cost board, it's 100% complete. What that buys you is every one of these workspaces and folders can be changed to whatever color you need. So you notice I right-clicked on worksheet A, went to set the workspace status, and I can change it to, let's say, reviewed, needs corrective action. So you'll now notice that it's an orange-colored work paper. So you'll also see these colored buttons at the top. They're radio dial buttons. So if you want to know what are the bottlenecks, what's holding up this cost report, you can click on yellow and it'll show you all the yellow work papers. These are the work papers that I still need data. I'm waiting for someone, I'm waiting for information, something's not complete. So consequently, these are my bottlenecks. If you're looking for things that need to be corrected, here's the red work papers, this needs to be fixed, or the ones that the manager had reviewed and need corrective action. When the manager's looking at this, they can go to the purple, and all of a sudden there's the work papers that they need to review. Of course, if we go back to the default color black, you can see all of the work papers and all the coloring. So that coloring helps you identify very quickly on screen in a visual way, where do we stand with work papers? The review notes, any workspace that you go into can have the review notes. It'll show you what the progression of those notes are when it gets completed, that kind of thing. To add note, you just hit the little plus sign and you can type in whatever you need and you save it, and you notice there's a date and timestamp. Only the person who created the note can delete it. The other people would have to, the manager would have to delete their notes. Again, not encouraging you to necessarily delete notes, but it is ability within the system. The last thing is, since we've color coded this, you also have a dashboard. And the dashboard allows you to see, again, how complete are things. The whole hospital, all the tasks, about 62% complete. Data imports, only about 40%. If I click on data import, it shows me the data files that have no data or where data has been loaded. And so you can get a very quick view of where is your bottlenecks. Same thing with, if we go and look at my cost report, Workpapers are only 65% complete. It's not Worksheet A, it's not A6, it's not A7, but if we go further down, our problems start at B1. We haven't done the B1s, we haven't done the worksheet D4. So when you click on B1s, you'll see these are all black, which means they have not been addressed yet. We have one that needs corrective action, and then one that's complete down here, the square footage. So the average of all of those is 9% complete, and that's how we got there. So very quickly, you can see status, how far along are we, what are our bottlenecks, and the like, both using colors, the dashboard, and review notes. Now, we also talked about management reports. And these management reports are actually very useful for reviewing and identifying things that we need to do. First one is internal comments. When you have workspaces, you have the ability to make comments. You have public comments that show up on your printed reports for, like, this is Worksheet A. So my printed report for Worksheet A will contain these public comments, and I'll show you those real quick. If we open up Worksheet A printed report, and we go to the last page, you'll see here's my workspace comments. And I'm going to go one page back because it actually started here. There's the purpose to identify, blah, 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 and then it spilled over to the last page for the sources and the comments. That's the public comment. If we go back to the workspace and we look at comments, you also have the internal comments. And this is the one that's going to show up in your management reports, because these comments are specific to this work paper, but they're not part of the documentation process for the auditors. Instead, they're documentation for you, the user, to be able to say, here's a complex work paper. I have to do step 1, step 2, step 3. Or maybe I'm getting data from somebody else. I have to remember that they don't group things properly, and I need to regroup them per a reimbursement expert. Things like that. You can make whatever comments you need. Those internal comments are your first management report. And that management report looks something like this. And I'm going to supersize it so you can see it. And so it lists out each of the work papers going down and what are the issues that you wanted to remember to do next year, whether it was these are the steps that I have to take to complete the work paper, or in order to complete this work paper, you must load the GL as well as the fixed asset ledger, and then your A8 related party leases adjustments in the A8 folder. So those are all things that have to be done in order to make sure that work paper is completed correctly. So it's a nice list when you start your cost reporting process, because these notes carry from year to year. So you can see those as you work through your cost reports. One of the other, let me go back here, one of the other reports worth noting is review notes, the one we just talked about with the review notes function. When you click on that report, it gives you a list of all the review notes for each work paper as you're going through for that fiscal year. So you can have a nice printout of your review notes for each work paper. And then lastly, I keep going back to that. Lastly, in the review or in the management reports, you have what building blocks are zero total amounts. Those might be building blocks that were used in prior year that this year don't have any dollar value, or what building blocks don't have data loaded in. So if you need to have a report of what data files are missing data, That'll give you a nice printed report. Workspaces with external reference. What workpapers are pulling data from another hospital or another organization? Reference workspaces. Inside of Easy Workpapers, you can reference from one workpaper to another. This gives you a list of those references, so you know if you look at workpaper X, you'll know all the different workpapers that take data from it. Of course, your review notes, broken workspaces, just gives you a list of any workspace that doesn't function because the building block doesn't work anymore, something like that. And then, of course, you can batch print all of these reports. This has been Jeff Wolf, and we've talked about the review notes, the color coordinations, and the management reports. Thank you very much.